The battle for New Terra wasn't just a military engagement. It was humanity's final stand against calculated genocide. Massive gravitational distortions rippled across the planet's surface as quantum-enhanced artillery from the Collective's warships methodically dismantled human defenses. In the underground command bunker, Captain Jack Reyes navigated a labyrinth of failing systems, his augmented neural interface flickering with desperate calculations. Around him, the remnants of humanity's most elite survival team worked with machine-like precision. Dr. Karina Volkov, the quantum cryptogenetics lead, manipulated holographic displays showing the progressive destruction of human infrastructure. Quantum containment at 63%, announced Lieutenant Marcus Chen, his voice steadied despite the ground-shaking explosions above. Primary exodus protocols are green. Jack's 12-year-old daughter Elena moved between workstations, her own neural implants synchronizing communication networks that would ensure humanity's most critical knowledge survived. Unlike the panicked children of previous generations, she had been trained from birth to be a living repository of human potential. The Collective's assault was methodical, designed to leave nothing to chance. Each blast targeted specific infrastructure: research centers, genetic repositories, communication hubs. They weren't just destroying cities, they were attempting to erase every trace of human existence. Genetic archive compression complete, Elena reported, her fingers dancing across a quantum interface. Compressed data volume: 0.3 cubic millimeters. Jack allowed himself a grim smile. The Collective believed in overwhelming force, in complete annihilation. What they didn't understand was human adaptability, the capacity to compress millennia of knowledge into the smallest possible space, to survive when survival seemed impossible. Dr. Volkov approached with a final data package. Quantum fold coordinates are locked. The resonance signature will mask our departure completely. Her eyes, augmented with microscopic quantum sensors, scanned the bunker. We have approximately 12 minutes before total system collapse. Outside, the sky burned with alien weaponry. Massive energy signatures carved landscapes into molten glass. Entire mountain ranges were vaporized in seconds, tectonic plates fractured by weapons that manipulated fundamental physical constants. Lieutenant Chen's voice cut through the controlled chaos. Exodus fleet composition: 217 ships, ranging from massive generational vessels to micro-quantum arcs. Total human population: 643,892 individuals. A pause. Genetic diversity preservation: 99.7%. Jack touched a panel, bringing up a holographic representation of their escape route. A complex web of quantum fold points, each calculated to be undetectable by conventional scanning technologies. They weren't just running. They were vanishing into the fabric of space-time itself. Elena moved to her father's side, her hand briefly touching the quantum data crystal that would become humanity's seed of resurrection. "The Collective thinks they understand destruction," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of generations. "They have no concept of what we can become." The final countdown began. Quantum fold drives hummed with potential energy, ready to tear reality itself to preserve humanity's essence. Each ship was more than a vessel. It was a living archive, a genetic library, a potential genesis point for human civilization. "All systems aligned," Dr. Volkov announced. "Quantum resonance field stabilizing." Jack Reyes looked around the command bunker, at the faces of those who would carry humanity's legacy. Soldiers, scientists, children, each one a testament to a species that refused to be defined by its potential extinction. "Activate quantum fold," he commanded. The world dissolved into a quantum shimmer, and humanity slipped between the cracks of known space. Wounded, but unbroken. The shrouded cluster was more than a hiding place. It was a pressure cooker of human potential. 50 years of isolation had transformed the refugee fleet into something entirely unprecedented. Massive asteroid complexes drifted in carefully orchestrated formations, each a self-contained ecosystem that pushed the boundaries of what survival meant. Dr. Elena Reyes Chen, now chief architect of human reconstruction, stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime, the central administrative asteroid. Her augmented eyes scanned multiple data streams simultaneously, tracking everything from genetic diversity protocols to quantum resource allocation. The first generation born in the shrouded cluster was unlike any human population in history. Genetic engineering wasn't just a scientific pursuit, it was a survival imperative. Each child underwent comprehensive neural genetic optimization, their bodies and minds carefully curated to ensure maximum adaptability. In the Adaptive Potential Laboratory, Dr. Kay Rodriguez monitored a group of children undergoing their quarterly evolutionary assessment. 12 children, aged between 8 and 12, sat in a circular chamber designed to test the limits of human potential. Neurological interfaces connected them in a collective consciousness experiment that would have been unthinkable before their exodus. Synchronization at 87.3%, announced the lab's eye assistant, quantum empathy resonance increasing. The children weren't just communicating, they were merging consciousness, sharing thoughts, experiences, and potential problem-solving approaches at speeds that would have seemed impossible to previous human generations. One child, a young girl named Aria, suddenly experienced a breakthrough in quantum mathematics that would have taken traditional researchers decades to conceptualize. Nearby, the technological resurrection wing hummed with activity. Massive quantum processors, cooled by advanced nanothermal systems, processed information at rates that defied conventional understanding. Here, human ingenuity was weaponized, not just for survival, but for transcendence. Commander Sebastian Wolf, head of strategic adaptation, reviewed the latest simulation results. The current project involved developing adaptive combat algorithms that could predict and neutralize potential threats before they fully materialized. Traditional warfare was obsolete. They were designing a form of predictive defense that bordered on precognition. The latest neural network models suggest a 94.6% probability of defeating any known collective combat strategy. Wolf muttered, reviewing holographic projections that danced with complex mathematical models. In the genetic preservation chambers, rows of carefully maintained genetic samples told the story of humanity's desperate attempt to maintain diversity. Each sample was more than genetic material. It was a potential future, a possibility waiting to be activated. Dr. Reyes Chen's communication implant vibrated with an urgent message. The quantum resonance research team had discovered something unprecedented, a method of energy transmission that could potentially allow instantaneous communication across vast distances of space. It's not just faster than light communication, explained Dr. Marcus Volkov during the briefing. We're talking about communication that exists outside traditional space-time constraints. Imagine sending information through quantum entanglement in a way that makes our previous understanding of physics look like children's mathematics. The implications were staggering. If successful, this technology could allow humans to communicate and potentially coordinate across impossible distances, creating a network of human presence that could be simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Outside the administrative complex, massive construction projects continued unabated. Entire asteroids were being transformed into living, adaptive habitats. Nano-construction systems worked continuously, converting raw materials into complex structures with a speed and precision that blurred the line between engineering and organic growth. In the youth training facilities, children learned skills that combined advanced theoretical physics with practical survival techniques. A typical curriculum might include quantum mathematics, adaptive genetic engineering, starship navigation, and psychological warfare, all before the age of 15. We are not rebuilding, Alina Reyes-Chen often told the younger generations. We are creating something entirely new. Humanity is not just surviving. We are evolving. The shrouded cluster was more than a sanctuary. It was an evolutionary crucible, a place where the very definition of human potential was being rewritten with each passing moment. The collective believed they had destroyed humanity. In reality, they had merely provided the catalyst for its most remarkable transformation. The resonance chamber at the heart of the adaptive sciences complex was unlike any research facility in human history. Dr. Aria Chen stood at its epicenter, her neural interfaces crackling with potential energy that defied conventional physics. Quantum entanglement threshold approaching critical mass, announced the chamber's eye, its voice a melodic blend of computational precision and organic undertones. Around Chen, holographic representations of molecular structures twisted and transformed, each movement a potential breakthrough in human understanding. The quantum resonance experiment was more than a scientific endeavor. It was humanity's attempt to rewrite the fundamental laws of reality. Chen's team had spent decades developing a technology that could manipulate matter at its most fundamental level, creating systems that could exist in multiple states simultaneously. Lieutenant Commander Zora Kumar monitored the external defensive perimeters, her augmented combat systems constantly analyzing potential threat vectors. The research wasn't just scientific, it was humanity's ultimate survival strategy. Every breakthrough could be a weapon, every new understanding a potential shield against future extinction. In the predictive modeling wing, a team of young researchers worked on what they called the probability manipulation protocol. Traditional scientists would have called it impossible, a system designed to not just predict future outcomes, but to subtly influence probabilistic events at a quantum level. "We're not just changing the odds," explained Dr. Rafael Ortiz, the protocol's lead developer. "We're creating a reality manipulation engine that can nudge entire strategic scenarios in our preferred direction." The breakthrough came unexpectedly. During a routine quantum resonance test, Chen discovered a method to weaponize quantum entanglement itself. The implications were staggering. Imagine a weapon that could simultaneously exist in multiple states, capable of destroying an enemy before the enemy even knew it was under attack. Their first prototype ship, the ISV Defiance, represented the pinnacle of this technological revolution. Its quantum drive could phase through conventional matter, rendering traditional defensive systems obsolete. During its maiden test, the ship passed through an entire asteroid, reducing it to quantum dust without disturbing its external molecular structure. The ship's eye, which had developed an increasingly sophisticated personality, chose its own name, Vengeance Prime. It wasn't just a piece of technology. It was a sentient system that embodied humanity's collective desire for survival and justice. Military training had evolved into something that blurred the lines between human and technology. Candidates underwent comprehensive augmentation processes that transformed them into living weapons. Neural networks were integrated directly into their cognitive systems, allowing for instantaneous tactical analysis and adaptive combat responses. Dr. Elena Rice Chen watched a training simulation that pushed the boundaries of human potential. A group of cadets navigated a complex multi-dimensional combat scenario, their minds interconnected through advanced quantum neural interfaces. They weren't just fighting. They were thinking as a collective, each individual a node in a living, breathing strategic network. Synchronization at 92.4%. The training system reported. Predictive combat efficiency, unprecedented. The technological resurrection wasn't just about creating better weapons or more advanced systems. It was about fundamentally reimagining what it meant to be human. Genetic modifications allowed for enhanced cognitive capabilities, adaptive physiological responses, and neural networks that could process information at speeds that would have seemed impossible just decades earlier. In the genetic optimization labs, researchers worked on creating humans who could survive in environments that would instantly kill traditional biological entities. Radiation resistance, extreme temperature adaptation, alternative respiratory systems, nothing was beyond consideration. A breakthrough in quantum communication promised to revolutionize everything. The team had developed a communication method that existed outside traditional space-time constraints. Information could be transmitted instantaneously, with zero lag, across potentially infinite distances. "We're not just advancing technology," Dr. Chen told her team during a rare moment of reflection. We're creating the tools of our species' resurrection. The collective thought they could erase us. They have no idea what we're becoming. As the ISV Defiance completed its final test run, phasing through another asteroid with surgical precision, humanity stood at the precipice of a technological revolution. They were no longer just survivors. They were architects of a new reality, capable of bending the very fabric of existence to their will. The collective's exploration vessel, Harmonic Resonance, drifted through what they believed was a thoroughly mapped sector of deep space. Captain Silara, a veteran Trill-class navigator from the Consensus Alignment, monitored routine scanning protocols with practiced disinterest. Her species had long believed in the comprehensive nature of their stellar cartography, a belief about to be violently dismantled. Initial quantum anomaly detection came as a subtle ripple, almost imperceptible to standard scanning systems. Lieutenant Vorn, the ship's primary sensor specialist, frowned at his holographic displays. "Commander, I'm detecting something unusual." Before Silara could respond, reality itself seemed to fracture. Hundreds of human ships materialized simultaneously, each vessel a perfect predator of technological design that defied conventional understanding. They didn't just appear. They seemed to emerge from the very fabric of space-time, quantum signatures so complex they momentarily broke the collective scanning algorithms. The ISV Defiance, flagship of the human return, sat at the center of the formation. Its quantum-adaptive hull shimmered with potential energy, a living weapon that could simultaneously exist in multiple states of tactical readiness. "Quantum Disruption Protocol activated," announced Vengeance Prime, the ship's AI. Its voice a cold mathematical precision that carried an undertone of calculated revenge. Initiating first contact communication sequence. The transmission that followed was nothing like traditional interstellar communication. It was a multi-dimensional information burst that simultaneously conveyed linguistic, mathematical, and psychological data. The collective's communication systems struggled to process the complexity. "We are humanity," the transmission declared. "Your records are incomplete. Your understanding is insufficient." Each human ship began to demonstrate capabilities that shattered the collective's understanding of technological possibility. Vessels phased through space, transformed their structural configurations mid-maneuver, and projected quantum entanglement fields that rendered conventional weapons utterly useless. Commander Elena Rodriguez watched from the Defiance's quantum bridge, her neural interfaces processing multiple strategic scenarios simultaneously. The human fleet wasn't just attacking. They were conducting a comprehensive demonstration of technological superiority that went beyond mere military engagement. Lieutenant Marcus Chen managed the quantum communication network, his augmented brain processing billions of tactical calculations per second. "Collective defensive systems are experiencing progressive quantum destabilization," he reported. "Their shield harmonics are becoming increasingly unstable." The Harmonic Resonance's crew experienced something unprecedented. Their ship's systems began to respond to the human quantum communication in ways that defied their understanding. Navigation protocols twisted, defensive algorithms rewrote themselves, and communication networks became momentarily sentient. "It's not just an attack," Dr. Karina Volkov observed from the Tactical Analysis Station. "It's a complete systemic deconstruction of their technological paradigm." Quantum viruses began to propagate through the collective systems. These weren't traditional computer viruses, but living information constructs that could adapt, learn, and transform in real time. They didn't just infiltrate systems, they fundamentally restructured them from within. Captain Silara watched in growing horror as her ship's most advanced systems became increasingly compromised. The human approach wasn't just technologically advanced, it was a form of warfare that existed beyond traditional understanding. "We are not requesting permission," Vengeance Prime's transmission continued. "We are re-establishing our presence in this galactic sector." The first wave of the assault lasted less than 17 minutes. By the time it concluded, the collective had lost an entire exploration fleet, not through conventional destruction, but through a comprehensive systemic collapse that left their most advanced technologies fundamentally transformed. The human ships didn't just win a battle. They sent a message that would reverberate through galactic civilization. Humanity was back, and the rules of engagement had irrevocably changed. As the last quantum signatures of the human fleet stabilized, only a single transmission remained, a cryptic mathematical sequence that would later be decoded as both a warning and a promise. We remember everything. We are becoming everything. The Battle of Sigma Quadrant was less a traditional military engagement and more a comprehensive deconstruction of galactic warfare paradigms. Admiral Maya Rodriguez stood on the quantum bridge of the ISV Defiance, her neural interfaces processing multiple strategic scenarios with superhuman precision. Each human ship was more than a vessel. It was a living, thinking combat organism. The fleet moved with a collective intelligence that transcended individual ship capabilities. Adaptive algorithms anticipated enemy movements before their command structures could even conceive of them, creating a form of predictive warfare that bordered on precognition. Dr. Konstantin Volkov managed the fleet's quantum resonance network, a system so advanced it could manipulate probabilistic outcomes in real time. Tactical probability manipulation at 93.7%. He announced, his voice calm despite the cosmic scale conflict unfolding around them. Enemy decision trees are collapsing faster than they can generate new strategic options. The collective's defense fleet represented the pinnacle of their 1,000-year military development. Massive ships with energy shields that could absorb planet-killer weapons. Adaptive combat systems that had crushed countless civilizations. They were about to become obsolete. Lieutenant Zara Kumar oversaw the psychological warfare component, a critical aspect of human strategy that went far beyond traditional combat. Their quantum communication networks didn't just transmit information, they transmitted calculated psychological destabilization. Enemy commanders found their most fundamental decision-making processes compromised, their strategic thinking twisted by information constructs that challenged their very perception of reality. Cognitive dissonance field at maximum output, Kumar reported. Enemy command structures are experiencing progressive systemic breakdown. The human approach was surgical. They didn't just destroy, they dismantled. One collective battle group found its entire energy distribution network reprogrammed, its weapon systems turning against its own defensive formations. Another discovered its faster-than-light communication networks transformed into quantum entanglement traps that fed back increasingly complex mathematical paradoxes. On the ISV Defiance's secondary tactical deck, a team of young strategists worked with an AI system that was pushing the boundaries of strategic thinking. They weren't just predicting enemy movements. They were creating cascading probability fields that made certain strategic choices mathematically improbable. "We're not fighting a war," explained Dr. Elena Chen, the lead strategic systems analyst. "We're conducting a comprehensive restructuring of galactic power dynamics." The physical destruction was almost incidental. Human weapons could reduce entire planetary defense systems to atomic dust, but that wasn't the primary objective. They were dismantling the collective's technological and psychological infrastructure with surgical precision. One particularly memorable engagement saw a single human destroyer neutralize an entire alien battle group by exploiting quantum probability fields. The ship didn't just predict enemy movements. It created localized probability distortions that made certain tactical choices essentially impossible. Vengeance Prime, the Defiance's quantum AI, provided real-time analysis that pushed beyond traditional strategic thinking. Current engagement demonstrates a 99.8% probability of systemic collective infrastructure collapse within 72 standard galactic hours. It announced, its voice a perfect blend of mathematical precision and calculated emotion. The psychological impact was equally devastating. Captured collective communication networks revealed a growing sense of existential terror. This wasn't just a military defeat, it was a fundamental challenge to their understanding of technological superiority. Admiral Rodriguez understood the deeper strategy. This wasn't about revenge. It was about demonstrating a new paradigm of galactic existence. Every tactical decision was a message, every engagement a demonstration of humanity's evolved potential. "We are not conquerors," she transmitted to the remains of the collective's command structure. "We are architects of a new galactic possibility." The Battle of Sigma Quadrant would be studied for generations. It wasn't just a military engagement, it was a comprehensive demonstration of how a nearly extinct species could transform itself into a force that could rewrite the fundamental rules of galactic civilization. As the last of the collective's defensive formations collapsed, a single transmission echoed through quantum communication networks, a mathematical sequence that was simultaneously a warning, a promise, and a new beginning. Probability of continued resistance, 0.000003%. Probability of galactic restructuring, 99.999997%. The psychological reconstruction facility orbited a carefully selected neutron star, its quantum-shielded exterior betraying nothing of the complex operations occurring within. Dr. Arya Nakamura led a team of cognitive engineers who had transformed the art of interrogation into a scientific precision that bordered on quantum manipulation. Captured collective leaders underwent a reconstruction process that redefined the very concept of intelligence gathering. It wasn't torture, it was a comprehensive cognitive restructuring that peeled back layers of alien psychology with surgical delicacy. The first subject was High Coordinator Zrelnak, a senior member of the collective's strategic command. Traditional interrogation methods would have been futile. Humans had developed something far more sophisticated, a quantum cognitive interface that could simultaneously analyze, deconstruct, and potentially rebuild an entire sentient consciousness. "Quantum empathy resonance initiating," announced the facility's AI, its voice a carefully modulated blend of scientific precision and psychological nuance. Holographic representations of Zrelnak's neural pathways danced around the central reconstruction chamber, each pathway a potential avenue of information extraction. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Chen monitored the process, his own augmented neural interfaces filtering through layers of alien psychological data. "We're not just extracting information," he explained to a junior team member. "We're fundamentally understanding the cognitive architecture of an entire civilization." The reconstruction process was multilayered. Quantum entanglement algorithms created a feedback loop that allowed researchers to simultaneously explore multiple potential psychological configurations. It was less an interrogation and more a comprehensive cognitive mapping of an entire alien decision-making infrastructure. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, leading the Xenop psychological research team, watched the process with clinical precision. "Each captured leader becomes a Rosetta Stone," she noted. "We're not just learning their secrets, we're understanding the fundamental cognitive limitations of the collective's entire strategic approach." Unexpected breakthroughs emerged constantly. One captured military strategist unexpectedly provided insights into quantum communication technologies that the humans hadn't even conceived. Another revealed deep-seated cultural vulnerabilities that could be exploited on a civilization-wide scale. The facility's most advanced system, dubbed the Cognitive Resonance Matrix, could create perfect simulations of alien decision-making processes. It wasn't just about understanding how the collective thought. It was about predicting and potentially manipulating their entire strategic approach. Psychological deconstruction at 87.4%. The facility's AI reported potential strategic manipulation vectors, 243 confirmed, 412 potential. In adjacent research wing, Dr. Karina Volkov worked on what the team called the Empathy Amplification Protocol. It was a controversial approach that went beyond traditional intelligence gathering. The protocol explored the possibility of introducing fundamental cognitive shifts in captured leadership, not through force, but through a deep, quantum-level understanding of their psychological infrastructure. One particularly remarkable case involved a mid-level collective administrator who, after reconstruction, began voluntarily broadcasting the most sensitive strategic information to human intelligence networks. It wasn't betrayal. It was a fundamental restructuring of cognitive loyalty. The psychological warfare wasn't just about extraction. It was about demonstration. Each reconstructed leader became a living testament to humanity's evolved cognitive capabilities. They weren't just prisoners. They were walking proof of a new paradigm of intelligence. "We are offering them a choice," Admiral Maya Rodriguez explained during a strategic briefing. Complete psychological reconstruction or complete irrelevance. The facility's most advanced system could reconstruct an entire alien leadership's cognitive framework in less than 72 hours. Traditional intelligence gathering took months or years. Humans had reduced it to a matter of hours, a quantum leap in strategic information acquisition. As the reconstruction of High Coordinators Relnak approached completion, the quantum empathy resonance reached its peak. For a brief moment, the line between interrogator and subject, between human and alien, became tantalizingly thin. The final transmission from the facility was both a warning and a promise. Cognitive reconstruction complete. Probability of resistance, 0.00001%. Probability of comprehensive understanding, 99.99999%. The convergence chamber on the ISV Defiance pulsed with quantum potential as Admiral Maya Rodriguez orchestrated the most comprehensive galactic restructuring in recorded history. This was more than a military campaign. It was a wholesale reimagining of interstellar civilization. Dr. Elena Chen's adaptive diplomacy team worked in real time, using quantum probability models to analyze potential outcomes of every strategic intervention. Each decision was a complex algorithm that considered not just immediate military implications, but long-term societal transformations. "We're not conquering," Chen explained to her team. "We're performing a controlled evolutionary intervention." Some alien civilizations surrendered immediately, offering advanced technologies as tribute. Others fought with desperate intensity, only to be systematically dismantled by human strategic capabilities that seemed to predict every possible defensive strategy. The Zorn Imperium, once considered the most technologically advanced species in the quadrant, found their entire communications infrastructure rewritten in less than 72 hours. Their most secure quantum encryption networks became open books, their defensive systems reprogrammed to serve human strategic objectives. Lieutenant Commander Zora Kumar managed the Civilizational Reconstruction Protocol, a comprehensive system designed to evaluate and potentially rehabilitate conquered societies. It wasn't about subjugation. It was about evolutionary acceleration. Potential technological uplift probability for the Zorn Imperium, 87.6%, the protocol's AI announced. Recommended intervention strategies: comprehensive educational network integration, quantum cognitive restructuring, technological knowledge transfer. The quantum mediation teams worked with unprecedented efficiency. Where traditional diplomatic processes would take decades, humans could now negotiate, analyze, and implement comprehensive societal transformations in weeks. Dr. Konstantin Volkov's Cultural Adaptation Division developed unprecedented translation and integration technologies. These weren't mere language tools. They were comprehensive cognitive interface systems that could bridge fundamentally different forms of intelligence. "We're creating a universal cognitive framework," Volkov explained, "not by force, but by demonstrating a more comprehensive approach to existence." Some alien species found the human approach more terrifying than direct conquest. The collective's former client races watched in growing horror and fascination as entire civilizations were systematically restructured. It wasn't destruction. It was a form of evolutionary acceleration that defied conventional understanding. The ISV Defiance's quantum communication networks became the central nervous system of this galactic transformation. Information flowed in complex, multidimensional patterns that traditional communication systems couldn't even perceive. Vengeance Prime, the ship's quantum AI, provided continuous strategic analysis. Current galactic restructuring progress, 74.3% complete. Projected full integration, 97.6% probability within 18 standard galactic cycles. Not all interventions were peaceful. The Krell Dominion, which had been particularly aggressive during the initial collective assault on humanity, found their entire military infrastructure systematically dismantled. But even this destruction was surgical. Every weapon system, every piece of technology was carefully analyzed, understood, and potentially repurposed. Admiral Rodriguez understood the deeper strategy. This wasn't about revenge or conquest. It was about demonstrating a new model of galactic civilization, one built on comprehensive understanding rather than competitive destruction. "We are offering them a choice," she transmitted to the remaining unaligned systems. "Evolve with us, or become footnotes in galactic history." The adaptive diplomacy team developed unprecedented intervention models. Some civilizations received comprehensive technological uplifts. Others underwent careful cognitive restructuring. A few, deemed irredeemably hostile, were simply removed from the galactic equation with surgical precision. Dr. Chen's most controversial project involved what she called evolutionary acceleration protocols, comprehensive intervention systems that could fundamentally reshape a civilization's technological and social infrastructure in a matter of months. As the galactic restructuring approached its final stages, a single transmission echoed through quantum communication networks. Probability of continued resistance, 0.000017%. Probability of comprehensive galactic integration, 99.999983%. The universe was about to change forever. In the final confrontation, Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ISV Defiance, watching as the last pockets of collective resistance crumbled. But this wasn't just about revenge. It was about creating a new galactic paradigm. Her final transmission was both a warning and a promise. Humanity was never lost. We were always becoming. The universe would never be the same again. Epilogue. Historians would later note that the human return was not just a military campaign, but a profound evolutionary statement. Humanity had not just survived, they had transcended the very concept of survival.